Hey boys, what's happening? All right, we're here. We're back. We're alive. We have our Sunday show lined up for you guys today. I'll have a Barry White voice happening right now. So, unfortunately, I've been a little bit under the weather. However, I figured it's better to be here than not to be here at all, right? So bear with me, guys, and we'll get through it together. I'm just making some final adjustments here. I hope you guys have been doing well this week, and hope you guys are all in great shape, better than me at least. And we'll get the show started. Hey, so welcome back, guys. It's been a little while since our last show. We try and be here every Sunday whenever we can. And we wanted to have a show based on a couple of things that are coming up. There's NAMM coming up. You guys know what NAMM is, right? NAMM is the biggest event for gear junkies like us, and it's happening right now. Unfortunately, I'm not there. Too bad. Maybe next time. I keep on saying that, but it just falls at the wrong time every year, unfortunately. So one year I'll make it, I promise. But the good news is that there's going to be a lot of gear dropping soon, which means that there's going to be a lot of temptation. So you guys, we have to stick together. Okay, we have to stick together on this. We have each other's back so that we don't go crazy, fall off the wagon, blow all our cash on all the cool stuff that's going to be coming out. I do expect a lot of cool gear to be coming out. So I don't know if you guys have been following anything so far, but I'm going to try and do regular updates during the NAMM event. Because, like I said, I have my eyes on certain things that are going to be popping up. I'm curious to see what's going to be new this year. There's already been quite a few teasers, and we'll talk about some of those today. Interesting new products being released. Some of them, some companies like to put out a teaser ahead of time just to catch our attention. So I've seen a couple. We'll talk about those. And maybe you guys have already zeroed in on what you want to buy this year, and maybe you have your eye on a new guitar or new gear or something like that. So we'll talk about that, okay? So hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining today. I think a couple of others will trickle in shortly. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please subscribe, otherwise you won't be able to chat, and that's 95% of the fun. We also have a poll question that I put out earlier in the week, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds. I want to say hi to the guys that are here. Some of you guys are still guessing or trying to guess which guitar I'll be playing during the show before the show starts. I saw those comments. That's very cool. So some of you had tried to guess. I think one of you said that I'd be playing a Telecaster. I think that was Mean Gene. Telecaster Red, he says. And then Cushman says the SG with P90s. I haven't played that guitar recently, Cushman. Yeah, I gotta break that one out. No, I was actually playing this one. This is the Charvel, the Ferrari Red Charvel, which sounds a little bit like. Like that. Sorry if I'm blowing your ears off this morning. I've been actually, evaluating this guitar since I bought it, as I mentioned to you guys. Going back to a Floyd with a locking tuner, it's kind of, sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth. I think if you guys own a guitar with a Floyd, you know what I mean. However, I couldn't resist. I'm really a big fan of the Charvels, and specifically this one with the neck. I like the dark necks. The frets were fantastic. The back of the neck is not really finished. It's very, if there is any kind of poly on it, it's very little. It's got a really nice low profile neck. Plays really well. The only thing that I don't really bond with in terms of this guitar. And it's not just this guitar. Most guitars that have a humbucker single coil configuration. The single coil in the middle, the mid pickup, always gets in my way. And, I try to get used to it, but I can't, because the way I pick and how deep I put my pick in the strings always snags on the middle pickup, and it bothers me because it slows you down sometimes, gets in the way. So basically, I've been evaluating whether or not I'm going to keep this configuration or not, and I think I'm leaning more towards switching the pickups to humbuckers. This way, I have the humbucker in the bridge. I'll switch the neck pickup here to a humbucker as well. But I'll have to do a little bit of surgery. I got to get another pickup cover here, pick guard. I think I can find companies that make aftermarket pickup pick guards for these guitars that will be a drop-in replacement. So I don't have to cut this one up. I don't want to do that. I want to keep this one the way it is. I'll probably also, I'm not sure whether or not I'll keep the pickups. This is a high output pickup. It's a ceramic pickup. And although it sounds good, I'm not a huge fan of ceramic pickups because I do feel when you have pickups with a high output, you kind of lose a little bit in the dynamics. So, I'll see. Maybe I'll keep this one and I'll pair it up with something else in the neck. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, I'm going to see what I can do. And I know a lot of people do mention, like Eddie's mentioning here, I just lower the middle pickup all the way down. I don't usually use it anyway. I understand, Eddie, and I know that's the easy fix, just lower it. However, I don't just want to play the bridge pickup all the time. I do want to have the ability to switch between the neck and the bridge. So I don't know, I'll see, but if it's an easy fix, and I did take a little peek under the cover because I wasn't sure what kind of routing these guitars have, because sometimes it could be just single, in which case I can't do anything. But I took a little peek this morning, and it looks like it's routed for humbucker, single humbucker. So that's good. So I have the option of going either way. So yeah, I'll be shopping for a couple of little things here and trying to get it fixed up. Yeah, well, I don't really have, it's not really a cold. No, it's more of a sore throat. It started a couple days ago with a little tickle, and it's just getting worse. So I don't know if it's, hopefully I'm getting over the hump. We'll see. But yeah, it sounds worse than it is, I guess. But it's worse in the morning, so. The show must go on, as they say. So Presley, yeah, it is routed for HH. I just checked. I wasn't sure till this morning, actually. I just broke out my screwdriver, took out the screws, and took a peek. And I was happy to see that it is routed for HH. So now I just have to figure out what kind of pickups I'm going to be putting in. One of the pickups I do like, if I decide to stick with Seymour Duncan, the JB is always a good choice. These pickups are I think they're called Distortion Plus. Distortion. They're TB6s. So a TB6 is what they call a Duncan Distortion Bridge Trembucker pickup. It's not an extremely expensive pickup. It's $99. I don't know if it's just because it's ceramic. Maybe that's why it's a little bit cheaper. Not huge, like not really expensive. I think the JB is 130, comparatively speaking. But I think the output on these pickups, if I'm not mistaken, is 17.4 is the DC resistance on this, and it is a four wire pickup, so you can split it and you can do all that kind of stuff with it too. So. If I decide to go with the other humbuckers, I'm going to try and go with something that has 4 wires, and maybe I can do a couple of different fancy things with it. I haven't decided. open to suggestions. I'll also have to change the actual switch here, because this is a 5-way switch. So I'll have to go to a 3-way, and I'll probably, I don't know if I'll keep, there's a little switch here in the tone pot, which bypasses the tone pot here. I don't know if I'll keep it. We'll see. We'll see when we get to that point. It might be a while before I finally decide what to do. But anyways, thank you guys for being here, guys. If you don't mind, before we forget and get underway and get distracted with so many other things, please, if you can, if you're close to your computer or your phone and you can hit that thumbs up button, that definitely helps us, okay? Gene, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Gene says, throat lozenges. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what I need, dude. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's jump right in. If you guys have questions, you know what to do. Put a little question mark and ask away. Steven says, I'm going to have to bow out early. My brother just called, and we're heading off to Guitar Center on a gear hunt. Looking for a used 4x10 or 4x12 cab. Not sure what he's on the hunt for. That's cool. Great. That's a nice way to spend some time with your brother, Steven. By the way, thank you for your shout out. Steven put out a little video thanking me for the tuner that I sent him way back when. First of all, no thanks required. I'm happy to do it. Happy to share the appreciation for the viewers. And I'm glad that you passed on the good vibes by giving it to your brother. Yeah, it's cool. Nothing better than hanging out with your brother and looking for gear. I'd love to do that today too if I had an opportunity, but unfortunately I can't. So let's see here. Rexomatic, who's responding to David, says, we compared Squier with the Fender 52 reissue Telecaster. Pickups were very different, and both guitars delivered their own good sound. We'll release a video in February, I guess you mean. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I have a video that's out I made probably 10 years ago, if not longer, where I did exactly that. I had a Squier Classic Vibe and a 52 reissue, because I do own both, and I did a side-by-side like blind comparison shootout, and people were amazed at the difference in terms of which one sounded better. That video, till today, is probably still one of my most popular videos, believe it or not. It is extremely old. Let me see here. If I can dig it up for you, I'll put the link. It's at least 10 years old, guys. And I think the last time I looked at it, there was over 100,000 views on it. And it's still going strong. So I think a lot of people, especially back when the Squiers came out, the original Squier Classic Vibes, the ones that were in butterscotch, a lot of people were curious about those. And so was I. And I ended up buying one. And I kept it for a very long time. And it did the job beautifully. And I think the main difference between those two guitars, not that the 52 is bad in any way. It definitely has its own thing going because it's, a vintage reissue. But I think the stock pickups in the 52 were a little lacking in terms of bite for most people, including myself. So I ended up switching those out. And after I did that, I liked it much better. Yeah, so the video, I found the video. It's actually at 316,000 views right now. And I posted it 12 years ago. So I'll put the link for you guys if you're curious to watch that later. If you're still wondering whether or not you should buy a Squier Classic Vibe, those guitars are great. For the money, honestly, slap in some decent pickups and you're in business. You can do a lot with it. I just wish they wouldn't, the finish on those guitars, because those guitars, I don't know if they're still made of pine, but the bodies on those guitars originally were made of pine. And they put a really thick coating on them. So if you ding that guitar, it'll chip off, it'll break off in chunks, which is not great. And I wish they would come out with a version of those that didn't have such thick finish on them. But because the pine bodies are so soft, they're easy to ding, you know. So if you're not into relic guitars, you might not like that. So I put the link for you guys. You can watch it later. It's all good, you know. Take a look at it. If you want to get one, I highly recommend them. Jack, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I'll feel better. I'll feel better, Jack. Don't worry. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Cool Tone says maybe I could change pickups in my HB 35 Plus. Sounds great to me the way it is, but who knows? Thoughts, Tony? Well, Cool Tunes are asking the wrong guy. It's like you're asking an alcoholic which alcohol he prefers, because I'm notorious for changing pickups in my guitars. I've changed pickups on almost all my guitars eventually. So yeah, you know, if you do change pickups, it'll definitely be an improvement, I think. And it all depends on what kind of sound you're after, you know what I mean? I'm a big fan of the 57 Classics or the 57 Plus. I like those a lot in certain guitars. I don't think I would necessarily put that in this guitar, because this one probably I'd be looking for a little bit higher output, perhaps something a little bit more with more bite in it, you know, something like that. So I'm thinking, I don't know, I might actually see what my good friend at Peg City Pickups recommends. He makes some really nice quality pickups, and I put some of his pickups in my guitars in the past, and they were excellent. So I might just see what he recommends. Michael says, never been a fan of mega output ceramic pickups. Give me a PAF and let the amp get the sound. I'm kind of like that too. Very few of my guitars are high output. I tend to stay away from high output. As a matter of fact, I still end up, I have a really nice guitar, a Telecaster that has low output Sanford Magnetics pickups in it. They're actually lower output and they sound fantastic. So yeah, there's a lot of choice out there. Presley says a thin skin Squire would be a hit. I think so too, man. Especially for all the people that are into relic guitars, because you know, pine body would relic in no time, whether you like it or not. So if you're, you know, why not relic it yourself? Jack says, Tony, I got some new pickups for Christmas. Epiphone Pro Booker Vintage. I think you meant Bucker. That's cool. Pro Bucker Vintage. So tell me about those, Jack. How do you like them? Did you compare them to any other pickups, like actual Gibson pickups? How do you like them? I think a lot of people do think that the Epiphone pickups are just fine. Yeah, there's a lot of pickups out there. There's a lot of choices, man. David says, I noticed that many people gush about classic vibe, but poop on Squire Affinity. Has anyone else noticed this? Are they that different? They are, David. I'm one of those guys, unfortunately. The Affinity line, at least when I tried it, and I haven't retried it recently, were very noticeably a step below the classic vibe, in my opinion. The classic vibe has been getting better and better over the years, and the Affinity is kind of like the entry level. So yeah, there's quite a bit of a difference. If you play them side by side, you will notice them. And I'm not saying that the Affinity is not a good guitar to start, but I think that if you do try them side by side, you'd probably end up picking the classic vibe. Just my opinion on that. Take it for what it's worth. Danielle says the Ibanez AF55 was popular for mods. Low cost, semi-hollow with a thin satin finish. Yeah, there's a lot of guitars that are great for mods, guys. Two of my Squire contemporaries that I have, they're two Squire contemporary Strat style guitars with humbuckers. They can easily compete with something like this. Obviously, it doesn't have a Floyd, but it feels very similar. Not exactly the same. The neck is slightly different. But you know, those guitars, I picked those guitars up for, I think it was under 300 for sure. And I had to pick up two with the humbuckers. So for anybody that's like into a Charvel style guitar and wants to have something a little bit more modern, those guitars were fantastic. And I don't know why they're not more popular. I know they were taken off the market. That line was removed. Maybe because it was competing too much with the Charvels. But I grabbed two, luckily, and I still have them. And yeah, they're still very fun to play. A great deal at the time. It's harder to get deals today. Like everything's becoming more and more expensive. So if you can grab a guitar like that, which is also a great modding platform, by the way, you can do a lot with that guitar. Yeah. Steven says, Tony, I try a tablespoon of honey in a cup of hot tea after the show. It should help the throat. I've been doing that, Steven. I've been taking the honey, hot tea. I've been doing gargles. I've been doing everything, man. It's just going to take time. In the meantime, my wife will benefit from the deep, sexy voice. You know what I mean? It's crazy how the voice will change when you're under the weather. Rex says, we built a JHS, not a Dumble pedal, and we're really happy with it. We checked out our classic. We'll check out your classic vibe video. New bodies use NATO, which looks a little like mahogany. Nice pickups. Okay, so they changed the body wood on those guitars. Okay, I wasn't aware. When did that happen? Okay. I wonder if they're heavier. That's one of the things I really liked about the Squire Classic Vibe Telecasters. They were very light, so they didn't put a lot of strain on your back. Yeah. So Rigo says, so I've been asking AI for GT50 settings to emulate a specific song tone. It's amazing how accurate it is. Select amp X, set gain to 50, etc. Well, you know, it's fun to play around with it. Sometimes it's a little hit and miss depending on what the product is. But I've tried when I get stumped now and then. I've tried doing that too, just to see what it'll pop out with and see if it's accurate or not. And speaking of that, yesterday I just downloaded the beta for my Fractal, which was just released not too long ago. It's still in beta stages, but they updated the cab emulations and a whole bunch of stuff. Sounds great, man, and that's why. Today I have my Dirty Shirley patch dialed in here. That what you just heard was the dry patch, but there's overdrive, solo, clean, clean plus, clean trem, clean plex, clean chorus, all kinds of other variations in this patch. And I'm having so much fun playing it. So I'm really happy with the device. I think if you guys are really looking at something pro, you can't go wrong with these Fractals, man. And they keep on updating them and they keep on making them better. It's not little things that they change either. It's quite substantial. So I'm very pleased with that. The Human Jones says, I ordered a used 98 California Strat last night. Hope it is a good choice. It was built in the USA, painted in Mexico. Cool, man. Hey, Strats are always great choices, you know. You can always go back to a Strat and make it, and it'll feel like home. You know, whether or not you're playing other guitars, hollow body guitars with Floyd Roses and stuff like that. Whenever I pick up my Strat, a regular old Strat, it always feels like home. And I don't think you can really go wrong with a Strat. You know what I mean? You're not going to really regret any kind of Strat purchase, I don't think. Let's see here. Jack Collins says they sound just like the 57 Classic. What does, Jack? Sorry, I missed the flow here. You might have Okay, here we go. So Jack says, Tony, I got some new pickups. He was when we were talking about his Epiphone Pro Buckers, and he says that they sound exactly like the 57 Classics. If that's true, Jack, I might have to pick up a couple. How much are they? Do they actually cost brand new? All right. Cool Tune says, see on Amazon, they have, says Classic 57 Plus Alnico 2, 50 millimeter plus harness, 158. Any thoughts on this? Just make sure that they're real. I don't know, Cool Tunes. I would have to take a look. There's actually a lot of fake 57 Classics floating around out there. I've seen people selling them on eBay. I've seen them people selling them on AliExpress. You can actually buy a set, which they call 57 Classics. They try and make them look like the real 57 Classics with the sticker and everything, but they're not. You can tell by the thickness of the wire, and certain things don't really match up. So yeah, just be careful when you're buying these used, for example. Just make sure they're real. There's a lot of sneaky people out there, unfortunately. Michael says the Charvel Pro Mod Sandemus SD1 electric guitar, satin Ferrari red, has the JB pickup and no middle pickup. Yeah, I know. I've seen those ones. I used to have one of those. I used to have another Charvel, which was Purple Burst. It also had the Floyd on it, but it had only 2 humbucker pickups in it. I forget why I sold that one. Not sure. Jack says they cost $65. Where do you see that price, Jack? You know, that's pretty cool. $65 is cheap. Yeah, I definitely want to pick up a set of those. Try them out. Why not? Maybe just take the covers off and slap them in here. Of course, those are probably going to be, they're not going to be F-spaced. So you want to get F-spaced pickups when you're putting them in a guitar like this, not regular Gibson spaced, because then they won't really match up. Vinny had asked early on, Tony, is there any gear that you're hoping would get released at NAMM 26? Vinny, there's, I'm hoping that we'll be able to find some smaller, low wattage, more portable amplifiers that are flexible and like reasonably priced, Like I'm hoping somebody's going to release something like, for example, PV, a little while ago, they had released the mini series amplifiers and they were pretty good. I'm hoping they're going to come out with something else that's going to sort of spark my interest, because I'm kind of leaning towards like lighter equipment these days. If I don't have to bring heavy gear with me, I prefer not to. So like if somebody could come out with a really portable small amplifier that has a good tone and is in that sweet spot for pricing, I'd bite. I think that would be a really good thing to put out there. There's a lot of companies like that are moving towards the smaller form factor, So I'm hoping that good stuff is going to be coming out. Like I was looking at the Synergy stuff, just because you're able to swap modules and it's not that big. So that, to me seems very enticing. The price is not like uber expensive considering that you can pop in modules. There was one that had popped up in the used market that I was considering getting, but I kind of resisted for the time being. And the pickup, the amps that I have behind me will still do the job. It's just a question of lugging the equipment, I like to play real amps most of the time. I can do the simulations with the fractal and all that stuff, but then I have to carry an FR speaker with me, so that doesn't become any lighter, because then you have a guitar case, your fractal, which is actually quite heavy. The fractal is probably heavier than the Marshall head that I have there. Just saying. So I have I'll have the fractal, I'll have my guitar case, and then I usually have another bag with some other stuff in it, cables and whatnot. So it's still heavy, still a lot of stuff to carry. Cool Tune says, I've seen one set ProBucker pickup, $98. For the two seems cheap. Yeah, it does seem cheap. Anyway, send me the link, guys, if you can. I'd love to check that out. So what are you guys been eyeing, or what would you guys like to see come out at NAMM? One of the things I wanted to mention, and this is a sort of a surprise. It hit me. I wasn't expecting to read this, but I did. And I wanted to share this to you guys. I think maybe you guys have already seen this. But basically, Harley Benton announced recently, and I'm trying to find the actual message here. There's a few things that popped up recently. I'm just trying to find the actual... Did I not save it? I hope I did. I was meaning to anyways. A couple of interesting things here. Oh, I think I have it on my phone, so I'll just pop it on my phone here. Let me see. I think you guys probably know what I'm going to be talking about here, if I can find it. I hate when I lose stuff. Come on, where is it? I think I lost it, guys. Okay, anyways, what I wanted to say is, let me see if I could find it on the internet. Harley Benton, I'll just go off my memory here, which is shoddy at best. Let me just see if I can find it real quick for you guys. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, what I was going to say was that Harley Benton made an announcement earlier this week. Oh, I did have it. Okay, here it is. So they announced that they're going to be closing our dedicated U.S. Reverb store on January 31st, 2026. So that's bad news for any American customers, obviously. They say this wasn't an easy decision, and we're truly grateful for the enthusiasm and support you've shown to our brand. Changes in economic conditions over the past year have made it increasingly difficult for us to continue to operate in the U.S. From February 1st on, there will be no more products available in our U.S. Reverb store, but our team will, of course, remain available for warranty, repairs, and customer support. Until then, this is your last chance to grab Harley Benton gear directly from our U.S. warehouse, discontinued and without tariffs. Thank you thank you to our U.S. community for the trust, passion, and love. You'll still be able to order Harley Benton instruments anytime via harleybenton.com, shipped from Germany through Thomann. We still focus on our mission to provide high-quality gear at a fair price. See you at harleybenton.com. So, not good news, guys. It's unfortunate. But here you go again, obviously tariffs affecting companies that are outside of the U.S. I knew something was up because I was actually communicating with them, and I basically had a guitar lined up that I wanted to review from them, and it was gonna go through, and then all of a sudden, dead air. And I could tell that there was something cooking because, and I guess they couldn't say why, and now I see why. But I think they also overlooked the fact that I'm not in the US, that I'm in Canada. So they probably just thought I was in the US, and they wouldn't be able to ship a guitar over to me, or whatever the case may be. So hopefully after the NAMM show is over, I'll reach out to them again and clarify and see if we can still do something, because there was a couple of guitars that I wanted to actually try and review for you guys that I thought were really cool. So, this may be bad news for some of you out there. I'm a pretty big Harley Benton fan. There's a lot of good stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, it's, another one bites the dust, man. Yeah, so sucks. David says Harley Benton is closing the U.S. warehouse. Exactly, yeah. That's precisely it. So the Human Jones says, I discovered this week that my 86 Strat doesn't do well with heavy distortion rhythm, flat pull pickups, and it seems a lot of Strats from that era are the same. Take a look at the pickups. See what kind of pickups are in there. Have you popped the hood? Have you taken a look underneath? A lot of Strat pickups are actually ceramic magnets also. You'll see that if you pop them off, sometimes they have the pull pieces, and on either side of the pull pieces there's ceramic magnets. And yeah, those also, in my opinion, are sort of lower end pickups, which may be what you have in yours. I'm not really sure. Take a look. But that's an easy fix, man. You just have to pop in some other pickups. Michael wants to know, Tonex, what's your opinion? I did a review on that, Michael. You can go to my video archive and take a look. I gave you my opinion and sound samples and the whole thing. At the time, in a nutshell, just to answer your question, very interesting concept. I think very cool concept. Execution was a little rough around the edges when it first came out. Now, I don't know if they've been keeping up with firmware updates that have kind of maybe fixed some of the issues. But the main issue that I had with the Tonex was that the way the software would work with it wasn't really, the synergy wasn't there. Like, it was very choppy in the way you had to do things. And I, for that reason, I didn't really like it that much. It was just too much effort to edit patches and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't really syncing properly. So I kind of stopped using it, to be honest with you. Now, that doesn't mean that they haven't fixed those kinks. I haven't tried it recently or anything like that, so I couldn't comment on that. So Rex says that he can't make it to NAMM this year, but I enjoy wandering around the import guitars in the lower level, and I enjoy stumbling across exhibit performances like Larry Carlton at the Sire booth last year. Man, if you're in the neighborhood, Rex, you should definitely go. Definitely go. If I was living in California or close to California, I'd be there every year, but I'm too far away, man. Paul says the Harley Benton electrics in the American store are all sold out. Some acoustics left. R.I.P. Harley Benton Reverb Store. Yeah, man. I don't know if they're still, I can still buy from Canada, and I think I won't be hit with tariffs as much. There's still import charges. They're not cheap, but it sure beats having to pay tariffs on top of the import charges. So we'll see. Again, I've been trying to kind of just buy local as much as possible whenever I can. Nobody likes to blow money for no reason. Yeah, Ian, voice sounds harsh. Have you been sick again, Tony? Get better soon. Yeah, just a throat thing, sore throat. That's why I have the sexy Barry White voice today. I thought I'd spoil you guys. Maybe turn down the lights a little bit later on. Just kidding, just kidding. It'll get better, I'm sure. It's been lingering a couple of days, but what are you going to do? The show must go on, as they say. Also, I had some other news because you may or may not have heard, but apparently Fender has announced a new CEO. His name is Edward Bud Cole. Who doesn't like a middle name Bud, And he spent the past decade as head of Fender Asia Pacific. They say Cole, whose innovative ethos helped rebuild Fender Japan from an afterthought into arguably the coolest wing, of the storied American company, replaces Andy Mooney, who is retiring after 10 years at the top. In an exclusive interview with Guitar World conducted on the eve of the announcement, Cole spoke about what we can expect from his stewardship, teasing big anniversaries and some potential Fender Japan inspired developments, which is cool. I'm curious to see what this dude's gonna do because, first of all, his photo, this was posted on social media. His photo's weird because he looks terrified in that photo. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but definitely not the best picture. If they had to select from a few, this definitely wasn't the best one. But that being said, the fact that he is very familiar with Fender Asia Pacific, and obviously they're going to put somebody in there to be able to stimulate sales outside of the US now that there's tariffs going on, right? So it would make sense that they would put a little bit more emphasis in the Asian market and maybe restart the fire under the Japanese versions of the Fender guitars, which I thought were very good and a lot of people are still looking for. So maybe if they kind of breathe new air in the Fender Japanese models, could be a good thing right now. What do you guys think about that? Some of the better Fenders, the Strats that I have, are Japanese versions. So I'm not opposed to buying any kind of instruments from Fender coming from Japan. Could be good. Shane says, I bought quite a few guitars last year, but all used and all local. Me too. I tend to buy used and local as much as I can. That's where you get the best deal. I mean, you can easily, it's still, right now, it's heavily a buyer's market. I've seen a lot of people trying to sell guitars online, local, and I usually scour the local posts regularly. I've seen some really nice guitars. Unfortunately, they're very expensive guitars, and they just sit there and sit there and sit there. And unless you're willing to drop the price, you're not going to sell those guitars, unfortunately, right now. So if you're a buyer, it's a good time to buy. If you find somebody that's willing to negotiate on the price. If you can buy used, you're going to save a ton of money. Of course, no one likes to blow money for no reason. Bach says, I've never met his wife. Well, I think we have something in common, Vox. Cheers to that, buddy. Another interesting tidbit of news I wanted to share with you guys is that Norm's Rare Guitars. If you guys are fans of YouTube videos, you've probably stumbled on videos stemming from Norman's Rare Guitars. And basically, this is a guitar shop that is in the heart of the San Fernando Valley. Norm's been around for a long time, and he specializes on like rare classic guitars. And big name musicians like Joe Bonamassa and so many others regularly stroll into the store and pick up some guitars. And basically, we've learned that the company, the store, has been sold. So right now, TNAG Global have acquired Norm's Rare Guitars in California. And it's unfortunate because I like Norm. He's iconic. He's been there for such a long time. He's what brings, the human vibe to the store. Now, we know that Norm has had pretty serious health issues in the last couple of years, I believe. He had a bout of cancer, and hopefully he's still in remission. But, we don't know what the outlook is in terms of his health. So basically, it's been sold to TNAG. And actually, it's two companies, TNAG and Carter Vintage Guitars. they acquired Norm's rare guitars in California. And so they say that Norm will continue to operate from the San Fernando Valley location. So he'll be like, the face on the the store window, kind of like Colonel Sanders, I guess, to keep up tradition. They say the team and the culture will remain fully intact. And they say, to put it simply, our mission is to protect what makes Norm special, as we have with Carter Vintage Guitars, preserve its legacy, and guide the business into its next chapter while expanding its reach to a global community of guitar players and collectors. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I have a feeling Norm will stay on for a little while, but I think eventually he'll retire and just mosey on out into the sunset, and it'll be a whole new chapter. I'm hoping they won't change it or ruin it. It usually stays relatively intact for a couple of years, and then things start happening. Changes start happening. So we'll see. I don't know if any of you out there have ever been out to Norm's Rare Guitars. If ever I'm in California, that's definitely a place I'd like to go take a look at. Too bad I can't go while Norm is still there. We'll see. See how long that lasts. Paul says the new Fender CEO is the first guy with a job who is a player. That's always good news. We'll see what kind of changes are in store. I know that Fender has released a lot of electronic devices lately. Those portable amps. They've also released some software for recording. I have a feeling they're going to get more into the digital side of things because, as we know with what we've seen with Marshall has also, they have their legacy, obviously. Everybody knows Marshall and, always looking for the vintage Marshall stuff. But the company was sold a couple of years back, and the money maker that the new company that bought Marshall uses to generate income is not amplifiers. It's really accessories. It's all the electronic devices, headsets and little, portable amps and all that kind of stuff. They make billions of dollars selling that stuff. So I think we're going to probably see Fender doing more of that. They're going to be probably pumping out more digital stuff. Why? Because it's easier to make. Margins are higher, and you can have more turnaround. You can actually pump out a lot of different variations very quickly. So it kind of makes sense, And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. We'll see. But that's what my crystal ball is telling me now. David said, yeah, but the amount of money needed to acquire that business must have been astronomical, out of reach for many small business owners. That's probably why two companies had to get together. Yeah, I'm thinking multi-million, I don't know how much exactly, but it's going to be multi-millions for sure. The brand, the name, all of the inventory. Who knows how much inventory Norm has? He probably has warehouses of stuff like that, waiting to go. So, I know, Wayne, you mentioned the biopic is supposed to be on Netflix, but apparently not in my Canada. I know I was looking for the same thing. I wanted to watch it and wasn't able to see it. Now, I'm going to be going to the States shortly. I'll bring my iPad with me, and maybe if I log into Netflix from down there, maybe I'll be able to watch it. Maybe I'll put it in my watching list for the evening before I go to bed. Yeah, exactly. David says KFC, Colonel Sanders, Wendy's, Dave, Laura Secord, etc. Exactly. He'll be the face, right? All right. My crystal balls. Yeah, they're telling me something. MFN says I have 4 Marshall Bluetooth speakers and like them a lot. Hey man, the new generation of guitar players are not they're not against technology, I think, as much as the older guys are. They're willing to embrace technology. So I don't see why anybody would like shun that kind of stuff. I've played some, you know, those little devices, and some of them are really good and really make it fun. I know I should get a VPN, Shane. I had one way back, but maybe I'll get one again. David says, which coast, Tony? I'm going to Vegas, David. I'll be in Vegas for about a week. Unfortunately, not pleasure. It's more business related, but I'll be there nonetheless. Dr. Kramer says, I wish some stuff would remain analog. Yeah, I know certain things are better analog. I agree. Not everybody likes digital all the time, but the digital stuff is getting quite good. So, you know, why should we shun it? It's a lot more affordable, I'm going to say, if we can get most of the way there. I know that, speaking of digital, Valaton, you know, I had reviewed the Valaton, the GP50, this guy. And I also reviewed the GP200 way back when. And Valaton just rolled out new firmware and software for the GP200 series. So if you have one of those and you haven't heard, you should definitely download the firmware on that. And they claim that there's overall performance improvements, new effects that they've added in. And apparently it's going to give you a smoother response, lower latency. You know, it's an all-around good thing, and it's free. So why not snag that? Go to their website, take a look, snag it. Apparently they've added new effects to the DST module. They also added new effects to the NR module, which is I think a noise gate. They also added a chorus, I believe. They also added another delay. And they optimized the tuner range apparently on there as well. So yeah, there's a few things you can take a look at. This is why I like the digital stuff, because you can easily add to it or make it better just with a firmware update. So, you know. David said the Vegas is a good place for pawn shop shopping. You know what, David? I didn't even think of that. But maybe it's not a good thing, because if I go there and I end up liking something, it's going to be hard for me to bring it back, especially on a plane. Last time I was there, I did hit some guitar shops, and I came really, really close to buying a Wolfgang guitar, an EVH Wolfgang. I knew I was going to be able to bring it back easily, so I kind of let it drop. And then when I got back, I ended up finding one, and I bought it here. But if I hadn't tried it in Vegas at the time, I probably wouldn't have purchased that guitar. So yeah, temptation, man, temptation. You have to be strong sometimes. Let's see here. Ian says I have Personas monitor speakers. Guess I need to put Fender stickers on them. Yeah, maybe eventually you might have to. Paul says the guy who owns Carter Vintage Guitars is an addict. He really will do what he says, big, but he rescues stores, but the prices go up. Well, yeah, man, you got to pay the bill. You know, I'm sure the prices are going to go, but then again, prices are going up every day everywhere. So why wouldn't it? Listen, Paul, if you know a place where the prices are going down, please let me know, because I haven't found that place. Shane says, is that an Ibanez RG 650 on your lap, Tony? No, Shane, this is the Charvel, man. I was playing it earlier on. Yeah, I just something I had talked about it earlier in the show. This is I mentioned that this is a high output bridge pickup, so you can really hear it. You can hear it, you know. So I basically was talking about how I was considering maybe swapping out the pickups in this earlier. Yeah, that's the Charvel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it grabbed my attention as soon as I saw it, so I had to buy it. And I don't regret it. It's a great guitar. But I think I could make it better by swapping out some of these pickups. Cue the laughter. I know you guys are going to make fun of me. Okay, there was other news too. So we talked about Harley Benton. We talked about Fender. We talked about Norms. We talked about Valaton. What else did I have? I had something else for you guys. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin is selling off some gear, some vintage, I guess vintage gear, including an amp that was blown after being left at Dave Grohl's house. So if you guys are into vintage gear, not necessarily any kind of guitar gear, obviously he's a bass player, but if you're looking at something that is related to the whole Led Zeppelin DNA, could be cool. Now I haven't tried to see any of the stuff that he's selling, mainly because I'm not a bassist, but I'd be curious to see what the prices are on it. And where you can actually get this stuff. I gotta find out what's going on there. If you guys have seen this and maybe know some of the stuff that he's selling, let me know. Curious to see. And also when we were talking about, a lot of companies going digital, Boss has been putting out digital equipment for years and years, and everybody knows Boss. They've been around forever. It's staple of the music industry. But they've always been a little bit more expensive in terms of multi-effects units than these units that are coming in from China. So, for example, Nuex and Moore and Valaton and all these other companies. So now I think they kind of woke up and decided that, hey, we need to compete with these companies. So they've actually released a unit called the GX1, and it's going to be really aimed at becoming a more Nuex, Valaton, Zoom killer, because the price on that is only going to be $229. So I think it's going to please a lot of people to have a brand like Boss come out with a unit that is not that expensive. Whether or not it'll be good, that remains to be seen, but I think a lot of people will probably try that out. And of course, a lot of stores carry Boss in their lineup, in their stores, so it'll be easy to get and easy to try. From the information that I have so far, is that there's going to probably be about 23 amps in this unit, about 140 effects, and you can add another 198 presets. And 99 of those come pre-baked into the unit, so those are like factory presets. And it's also compatible with the Boss Tone Studio app for sound editing tools and practice features, so you can actually go in and edit the sounds via software, which is always my preferred method of doing any kind of updates. It's not very big, and it also has an expression pedal, which I think is cool. Has a nice size screen so you can see what you're doing. So I definitely would like to check this out and see whether or not it competes. If it sounds better than the other stuff, man, they're gonna sell a ton of these. Paul says the just released Las Vegas stats said in the last 10 months, 43,000 people have been laid off. I'm going to report back when I come back, Paul, because I'm curious. There's been a lot of YouTube videos, people saying that Vegas is dead now. It remains to be seen because obviously Vegas is dead sometimes. However, they do host a lot of events, and every time there's an event in town, you could have anywhere from 40 to 60 to 80,000 people come in all at once. So, you know, if I'm going to be there during an event and it's going to be, you know, I don't know if I'm going to notice the fact that it's, you know, more quiet than usual. But I've been there a while ago and I remember what it was like. So I'll report back. I'll let you know for sure. Alex says, "Hey Tony, I want that collage guitar poster behind you on the wall. Where can I find one?" In the States, I don't know. I bought that a long time ago, Alex. I bought it online. You would have to search, just Google it. I'm sure you'd be able to find something similar. I've had it on my wall for years and I've wanted to take it down and replace it with something else, but I like it so much because each one of those guitars reminds me of one of the guitars that I have, you know. Uh, I have, you know, from left to right or right to, I mean, from this way or that way, you know. I have a Martin guitar that looks like that. I have a Telecaster that looks like that one. Always my 335, Gibsons, and Fender. So you know, it's like a family shot. So yeah. What else, guys? I mean, I'm doing most of the talking. My voice is kind of getting a little bit better, but I'm doing all of the talking. I wish you guys would jump in a little bit more and tell me what you guys are looking at and what you're doing. As I mentioned, Fender, new CEO, and the fact that the reason why I also think that Fender will be going more digital is because they've already announced its first consumer headphones. Marshall did that a couple of years ago now. Well, Fender just did the same thing. First consumer headphones and speakers, and they're wireless, and they have 100 hours of battery life in them, which is quite good. So I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these products. There's also a little practice amp, and it's called the Ellie, and it stands for extremely loud infinity extremely loud, infinitely expressive. And it's a portable Bluetooth speaker, which is available in two models. There's an E6 and E12 designed to, you know, basically offer something with portability in mind. And you'd be able to play it and, you know, practice with it and stuff. I don't know what the price is on this, unfortunately. Maybe I can find that out for you guys. But it seems interesting that they're already starting to tease this. So you can definitely be assured that they'll have more on the way. And one thing I wanted to share, which I thought was very funny in a way, maybe, I don't know if it's funny or not, but hey, let me share this with you guys, okay? Because I spotted this out in the wild and I wanted to get your impression on this because I don't know. I don't know what to think. Hold on, let me see here. All right, so there's a company that has released a titanium guitar pick with a sweat-activated grip. So this is on Kickstarter. Okay, they've already raised $57,000 on this. They have over 1,000 backers, and they still have 18 days to go. So this thing is interesting because it's a lifetime titanium guitar pick, and it's sweat activated. It has like a zone grip area that apparently I don't know exactly how it works, but it says 10-year titanium glow and anti-loss keyhole, and you can end slippery picks forever. I don't know, man. Not really sure what to make of this. So I'll show you the information. You guys tell me what you think, okay? Whether or not you'd be interested in something like this. It seems weird. All right, so this is it. There's a video. I'm not going to play the video right now, but you can see how much they've raised here. And then if you look at the information here, you can see it's a $19 pick, all right? And you can see it here. It looks kind of weird. It doesn't seem like it would be the most comfortable pick to play. It's made of titanium, and it's got like in the center of it, it's got these little slits cut out. And apparently it's supposed to somehow avoid you slipping. And they even say it's a multi-tool. What's funny is they have a picture of it like, I don't know, cracking open a nut here. I think they're stretching what it can do. A tritium slot, keyhole friendly carry. I don't know. What do you guys make of this? Seems weird. If I get one of these, it'd be purely out of curiosity, because I don't really think that I'd be comfortable playing a guitar pick shaped that way. And I don't know if there's different thicknesses or what. They don't really mention that, but they do say it never wears out. So I don't know, man. Sometimes I see weird things and I'm like, I don't know. You know what? If one guitar pick is costing me $19, I can buy a lot of picks for $19. So even if I do drop one, I can bend over and pick it up. What's the big deal? And I don't drop them that often. So I don't know, man. Sometimes companies do funny things. You see a lot of weird things on Kickstarter. But I don't want to knock it. Maybe they'll do very well. What can I say? Someone's asking me, Tony, thoughts on the Ibanez A series? I like the A series. I mean, the look on them is cool. I don't have a big problem with them. Right now, I don't have any Ibanez guitars. My first guitar was an Ibanez. And I've been tempted by the A series guitars. Some of them look really nice. I may revisit an Ibanez guitar eventually. But right now, I think my Charvel kind of covers the Ibanez territory with the Floyd and the HSS pickups and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not really missing the Ibanez guitars. David says, it has tritium light tubes like a Luminix watch. Yeah, but I don't know why would you need that? I'm not sure why you would need that in a pick. Maybe if you drop it, you can see where it went. Somebody's got to invent a pick that has a little chirp feature, like when you lose your keys, you can just take an app on your phone and just like find my phone feature, so you can zero in on the pick when it's on the floor. That would be cool. Yeah, David, I agree. I think luminous side markers on guitars are cool. Charvel does that on certain models, not mine, unfortunately, but that would be cool. I'd like to have that. I know they have certain artist series guitars that they do have the luminous side dots. That's cool. Paul says, my Vegas stats were very thorough. My main point is even the pawn shops and music stores are count on visitors, so you may find there are some blowout cuts on some gear. Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, if I can visit a pawn shop, maybe instead of buying a guitar that's hard to bring back, maybe bring back a pedal or something like that instead. Yeah, that's it. If I have some free time, maybe I'll do it. Yeah. Alex says, Tony, have you ever played Fender glow in the dark picks, the white ones? I think I probably did, yeah, at some point. I'm pretty sure I grabbed a couple of those back in the day. I wonder if they give you like, if they're radioactive, and if they're going to give you like finger cancer or something like that. I hope not. Dan says, I'm fine with the 25 pack of Dunlop picks. They always tend to disappear. Me too. I find picks all over the place. If ever I get kidnapped, my kids always joke they'll be able to find me because there'll be like a series of picks on the ground leading to my location, because I drop picks all the time. They find picks all over the house. So Casey says, out of all the cheaper digital multi-effects processors you've reviewed, which do you like the best? Okay, let's see if I can give you an answer. On the cheaper side of things, I mean, one of the cheapest, most recent ones that I did review is the Peloton GP50, which I have on my desk right here. I did a review of that a couple of weeks ago. It does a really nice job. Again, if you're looking for cheap, that's pretty cheap. Beyond that, I mean, man, there's so many good ones. They're all very comparable. Like, it's hard to say like one stands out because, you know, there might be some patches that are not that great, but then there's other patches that are really good in one particular unit, you know, and vice versa. So it's like I like all of them because there's good tones to be had on most of them. If you need one to do everything, it's gonna be hard to find one that is inexpensive that does it all. But the fact that the GP50 is well made and has stereo outputs and you can put an expression pedal into it and it's like the size of a pedal so you can put it onto your board, there's a lot of positives about it. A lot of people do like it. Check out my video, man. I just put it up a couple days ago. You'll see what I mean. I did some sound samples with it as well. Yeah. Presley says, I must be taking pics from somewhere because last year I had 50 laying around and now I've got over 100. Yeah, you know, every time you go to a music store, you're like, oh man, I forgot to bring a pic. Could I borrow one? They usually give you one and you walk out with it. So if you visit enough music stores, you'll have plenty of pics. David says a lot of the Sire guitars have the luminous side dots, side markers, but those tubes emit light. Casey says I should visit the Pawn Stars pawn shop in Vegas. I don't know if I want to do that because, you know, those guys, you're never going to find a deal there, right? And at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to wait to get in because everybody's going and visit it. So it could be cool out of curiosity if it's not too much out of the way, maybe. I'm not really there to shop, guys, so we'll see. Shane says I bought 50 picks for $2 on AliExpress, and I was stunned at how good they are. I mean, a pick is a pick. There's a lot of profit being made on picks nowadays, especially if you're buying artist picks. I think I bought some Petrucci picks not too long ago, and I paid like, I think it was almost like $10 for a pack of. I don't know if it was like 5 or 6. Seems very expensive for picks. You know, for a piece of plastic that probably costs them 2 cents. But yeah, that's where we're at, man. Tony, what's your number one guitar to play? I knew this question was going to come up. It comes up regularly. Today or of all time? Because today it's this one, man. I love playing this guitar. Of all time, it's hard to answer. Right now, there's so many. I can't really pick one, dude. It's gonna have to be like 2 or 3. I can give you my favorites for sure, but it's gonna have to be 2 or 3. Like in my Fender, in my Strats, I have a Japanese Strat that I love to play. Plays amazingly well. In my Les Paul style guitars, I'm gonna still say it's Tokai still takes it over the Gibsons. 335, Gibson 335 is one of my favorites in the hollow body guitars. Telecasters, Telecaster, I have a road worn Telecaster, a red one that I purchased that sounds really, really good. Let's see, what else? There's a few other. I have an SG guitar too, a Gibson SG that I bought recently, and I love to play that one as well. Plays so nice. So those are a few right there. The Human Jones says I dropped a pick inside my acoustic guitar the other day. Haven't done that since I was a beginner, like 20 years ago. Yeah, it's always fun trying to get it out, right? It's like a game. I've done that a few times. I still do it from time to time. Let's see here. Lorenzo, how do I measure the strength of my signal going into my pedal board and then coming out? Or does it not even matter? Well, it doesn't really matter. Why do you want to measure that? Why are you concerned about the strength of your signal? And why do you think the signal would drop? Are you using cheap cables, patch cables? Is your power supply not accurate? Not, I was going to say accurate, no. Is your power supply not enough to furnish the juice that you need? Why are you asking that question? I'm curious. Pants should come equipped with one pick in the pocket. They do. Shane, come on, man. Don't you have jeans? What do you think the little small pocket in your jeans are? That's to put your pick in there, man. Don't tell me you don't do that. Everybody's got one of those. This is right here, man. You got a pick right there. Look, this is a pick holder right there. That's where you put your picks. Don't tell me you put change in there. Lorenzo says I'm losing tone. Okay. Well, Lorenzo, how long are your cables going into your pedal board and coming out of your pedal board? Are they more than 10 feet? That's usually the culprit if you're losing tone. Also, if your pedals are not true bypass, you're going to lose tone. Or if they're not buffered. All those things. While you're answering that question, I figured let's jump into the poll question, guys. There was a poll question that I posted, and I think quite a few of you actually answered. I was meaning to address that at the beginning of the show, but I guess we'll have to do it now. So let's see. If you go to the community section on my channel, Addicted to Gear, you'll see the poll question there. And the poll question was put out earlier in the week, and the question was, have you ever bought a signature guitar? If not, would you? And we got 292 votes. And let's see what the vote tells us here. We'll start from the least popular. So 22% of you say that I have not purchased one, but would be interested. 28% of you, said, no, I have not purchased and I'm not interested. And then 48% of you said, yes, I have purchased one. So I would say the positive response kind of takes the wins here, because 48% of you say you have one, and then another 22% of you say I would, 28% of you say that I would purchase one, and 48% say you already have one. So that's well over three quarters, and then 22% of you say no, that you're not interested. And then there's another 2% that have responded in the comments. So I'm curious. I want to read some of these comments here. So one fellow says, I have a Fender Strat Sambora Mexican. Great guitar. Vox here says, I wouldn't mind a Page Dragoncaster. Yeah, me too. I'd love to have one. Shane says, I own 3 signatures so far. 2 of them were V's. And then we have Carl Wilson, Rickenbacker 36012, Les Paul Plus, George and Leo Comanche, and Danny Henderson Uke, says another viewer here. And Shane says, actually, I bought 4. Forgot about the ESP Jake E. Lee model. Another fellow says, I've got the Pete Thorne Signature and the Iomi SG. I've had at least 3 red specials, but just can't get on with them. And another fellow says, good investments if the guitarist has a solid fan base. So Casey Lee says, my favorite signature guitar is a 1996 USA PV EVH Wolfgang Special. And it's purple. So of course, I had to name it Grimace. Actually, my wife named it. I bought it in May of 2020. Just a few months before Eddie's passing. I feel very lucky to have it. And I probably couldn't find one I probably couldn't find one I could afford now after his death. It's an awesome guitar. Thanks, Eddie, for all the music. My only other one is a PRS SE Paul Allender model, and it has bats on the frets instead of birds. Great guitar also. Very cool. So a lot of you do have, artist series guitars here. Another fellow says, I have a Gibson SG Kirk Douglas. I prefer them over regular SGs because of the master volume on the pickguard and the cool colors. Oh, and I have a PRS DGT as well. Somebody else here has a Jackson Randy Rhodes V. Says, does it count? Yeah, sure it counts. And he's also been eyeballing a Tony Iommi SG. The Epiphone model, because Gibson is too expensive. Someone else bought a Joe Bonamassa Epiphone 335. So there's quite a few of you. Somebody here says, I got a custom shop Jeff Beck Strat, newer model with the non-baseball back neck. Do I like it? He says, meh. So he doesn't seem too excited about that model. A lot of cool comments here, guys. And someone else says, I would buy the EVH Frankie or a black and white if the bodies were ash like Ed's instead of basswood. And then we have somebody that says, it's a waste of money. I'd love to have the Ibanez Pia Steve Vai, but won't pay for that. That's an expensive one. Yeah, that's super expensive. Let's see here. David says, I used to put my Zippo in that pocket. Is it made for pocket watches? No, man, it's made for picks, dude. Presley says, I don't have one, but I would buy one. I don't really, do I have the only signature model, I do have a signature model, the PRS. Beyond my PRS guitar, do I have another signature model? I actually make them more than buy them. I have a Strat that looks like a Gilmore Strat, but it's not actually a Gilmore Strat. And I have two EVH inspired guitars with the stripes, but they're not actually the Charvel versions. They're the ones I put together. I was going to build an SRV type Strat, but I never really got around to it. But it's always a project that I feel like I'd like to build. And I do have a Dragon Telecaster that I'm going to be working on, that I talked and showed a couple of times already. So those are my guitars that are kind of, if you can consider them signature guitars, but they're not really signature guitars. I feel like if you're buying a signature model, you could be disappointed to a certain degree. Have I ever considered buying one off the shelf? Way back when I was a teenager and I was heavily into Steve Ray Vaughan, I did want to buy an SRV model with the reverse trem. I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it, to be honest with you, because I probably wouldn't really like it that much. Beyond that, I didn't really. The only models that really sort of caught my attention that I really like are the Frankenstrats, the Charvel Frankenstrats. But again, I didn't want to pay that kind of money for them, so I just built my own, and it was a fun project. The Human Jones says, I noticed Epiphone has a Marty Schwartz Marty Music Signature Red 335. Not sure who would want to buy that one. I wonder if they're charging more for it. And then Jeff says, oh yeah, and Gibson Tony Iommi. Alex says, I love the PRS Paul Allender model. And Shane says I would like the Schecter Sinister Gates model. Jeff's got the Pete Thorne. Jack says he'd buy the Joe Bonamassa Epiphone with the P90s in it. Shane likes the Ingwe model, but with no lefties, unfortunately. And so Shane says, so far I have found signature guitars to be top notch. And Wayne says Keith has a new signature 335. He does, huh? Is it with the Bigsby though? I really don't like 335s with Bigsby's on them. You have a nice light resonant guitar and you throw this big massive chunk of metal on it. Never really did it for me. Let's see. David says S1Y, the dark copper one for me. Yeah, there's a lot of cool guitars out there, guys. And KC says I'd love a gem. I had a gem, so I actually, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I did actually. I had a white gem. It was a Gem Junior, not the real Gem, the expensive one. It wasn't a bad guitar, but I didn't really. I felt it did feel a little bit cheap, so I ended up keeping it for a while and then got rid of it. So I don't have that one anymore. But you know, Steve Vai is a big influence on me, so I had to. It was cool just having a guitar with a monkey grip on it, you know. If nothing else, just showing up with a guitar with a monkey grip on it is cool, I think. Swing it around, you know. The Human Jones says, I was curious about the David Gilmour signature Strat, but they're super pricey. Yeah, that's why I didn't buy one. I just kind of made my own. It's really not a big deal to make one if you have a good starting point. I had a Blackie. Actually, I had two Blackie Strats with the maple fretboard and black painted body. I had two of them. And what I did was and it's funny because they were supposed to be identical, but they didn't feel identical at all. So I preferred the neck on one and the body on another. So I basically took the neck off one guitar and put it on the body that I felt was the neck and body combo was best. Switched the other neck and body, eventually sold that guitar. And of course, you know, the Eric Clapton version of that guitar is the tuxedo, right? You have the white pickguard, black body. So I ended up getting a black pickguard, put it on the guitar, immediately looked like the David Gilmour body. Kept the pickup covers white and the knobs white, and it looks exactly like a David Gilmour model. Plays extremely well too. I didn't shorten the trem because, you know, the Gilmour model has a shorter trem stick. I didn't do that. I mean, I could very well eventually do that, but I don't really need it. So I don't even use the trem bar that much, so I don't even have it on that guitar right now. But eventually, if I did want to make it into like you know, a more realistic homage, I could do that. But it wasn't the goal. Profile Production says I have the EOI Les Paul Rush with the Piazzo Floyd. Always curious about that guitar. How does it feel? I never played a Les Paul with a Floyd on it. Does it feel weird? Nella says, remember, all Fender Strats and Telecasters are partcasters. Indeed they are. And that's why it's cool to mix and match. Make it your own. Yeah, Robert Cray did have a beautiful signature silver Strat, I remember. There was also the, was it the Paisley or the Brent Mason Telecaster? I forget the model, but when I think again I was in Vegas at the time, and they had the Telecaster, which was silver sparkle, and I ended up trying it, and it was so light. It felt like it was made of balsa wood. And I think I learned after the fact it was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Paluna wood. I have another guitar that's actually made of that wood, and it's extremely light. One of the lightest guitars that I have. And so the Telecaster, that Telecaster was made mainly of that wood, and I think they capped it in maple. It was really nice. Wasn't crazy about the silver sparkle on it, but it played really, really nice. And it was very light, but it was too expensive because it was an artist model. Yeah, so a lot of guitars out there, guys. All right, well, listen, guys, I've been talking for an hour and a half, so I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to go rest my voice. Plus, I have a couple of other review videos that I need to finish, so I'm going to be working on those today. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope, hopefully my voice wasn't too annoying for you guys. I just didn't want to miss out on an opportunity for another Sunday show and leave you hanging because in a couple of weeks I will be in Vegas, so I'll probably miss out on another Sunday show unless I could broadcast live from Vegas. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll try and do a stream on my phone. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your super chats. And if you don't mind leaving a thumbs up on the way out, I would appreciate that as well. If you have any comments or stuff that you want me to check out in terms of gear for reviews, just send me a message. I'm always willing to check out some new stuff, whether it's guitars, pickups, amplifiers, effects, whatever. Give me a shout out. I'll be happy to oblige if I can. So hopefully you guys got something out of today's show. Hope you got some interesting information, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Tune in next week, guys. In the meantime, during the week, I'll be trickling out some other guitar and gear reviews, so stay tuned for that, okay? Thanks, dudes. Nella, I will indeed try and get better. I'll drink something warm right now. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon.